in the lane, bad pass, stolen by Allen. Outlet to G, to the cup, with he's going with him. Gordon's taking the left hand, and he's rocking the Casbah.
Against the Pelicans in April on the Retro. It is tip-off for you on this 18th of September. Good morning. I'm David Locke. Quin Snyder, who is this guy? We'll talk about it quite a bit, plus Carrick Felix and others, all next on today's edition of Tip-Off. Pow! Thank you all for tuning in. I realized last night that I am truly going to be, I'm a week away from losing my mentions column. I've actually been pretty active interacting with people all summer. I had a good time last night with a whole theory on baseball, and then I realized that it was right before that I'd realized it was probably closed over. When Gordon Hayward tweets out, back in the 8:01, ready to get the season started. So Gordon got in town last night. And some asswipe, I don't know any other way to call him anything else, promptly tweets at, and I retweet it. So this guy decides, now he's got to make an effort to do this, retweets both to me and to Gordon on his first, 30 seconds back in town of, I hope you play like your max contract because you sure never have. Might be accurate, but who does that? Yeah, this is where, on one level, for us, I think the Twitter world is awesome because we get these interactions. We get this stuff like, oh, this is what he just did. Oh, they put popcorn in Rudy's car. Oh, they're on a boat in Santa Barbara. We get so much. It's got to be just awful for players because it allows one total jack to. It's funny, I used the word earlier. I didn't want to use it there if I put it behind the word jack. I don't know. It's early. To be able to say that, and that's got to piss Gordon off. If he saw it, it's got to. And, moreover, interpret it as that every fan, that's every fan. So, who knows? Just, whatever. I just thought I'd share that end of the story. I apologize. I'm a little short on time today. It's not a great morning. We have a yellow lab who's going to, is scheduled to turn 16 in November. I don't think she's going to make it. So, bad night last night for poor dog. Ironically, for those of you who know me and follow this, the dog's name is Berkeley. It's where my wife went. So I've had to live in when Stanford wins. I call her Cardinal for the week previous and post the big game every year. But yeah, she's not. Hey, she's 15. It's just about over. So anyway, I've been dealing with that this morning. She puked all over the place like 3-4 times last night. So that was my cleanup today. I didn't get quite as much stuff. So a lot of this is going to be off the top of the head. I had some things I was going to plan to prepare between 6 and 6:30 this morning. I didn't quite get to. I sat down yesterday with Ennis and Carrick Felix for my production pieces. Someone asked when these will run. They'll run during training camp and throughout our broadcast. I think I mentioned this yesterday. I'm very proud. Our radio crew, we do more than any other. We bring you more insight on our players than any other team in the league. It's not even close. I'm not making this up. I'm not bragging. It's just a fact. Well, I'm bragging, but it's a fact. And we give you these insights and let you know who the players are and run these features and do stuff that just no other crew in the league does. And thanks to Jonathan Reinhart and Dennis Lindsay for making the players available to us. We couldn't do it otherwise. And trying to herd cats during the season. They don't want to do it then, so it's been great. It was fun to spend time with Ennis. I love Ennis. He's just a kid, and hopefully he puts it all together. He wants to please so badly. If you want to know anything about Ennis, he just wants to please. That's the essence of who he is. More than anything else out there. That's what he wants. He wants friends. He wants to laugh. He wants people to like him. And he's hopefully going to have a good basketball season. He's still coming off that knee. He's been a little limited in some of the stuff he's been able to do in the open gym. He's been working hard with what he can do, but being very protective of him as well. So I don't know if he's a step behind, but he's probably not quite all the way there. And then I spent a good time with Carrick Felix. We did a 22-minute interview and then sat and talked for 20 minutes. Very interesting guy from Arizona. Went to Southern Idaho. And he was a skateboarder. I mean, truly, that's what he was. It didn't sound like he played varsity basketball until his senior year. He played basketball, but he didn't make the varsity until late junior, senior year of high school, is the way I interpret it. But really, truly, just one day was around the skate park and drove his mom crazy that he was a skater boy, but he was, as he said, he was the one African American inside the skate park. You ask him his favorite athletes and everything from when he's a kid, it's Tony Hawk, and who he follows on Instagram and Twitter, it's all skateboard guys, but very bright. He's got a master's degree, as I mentioned yesterday. He very enjoyable to just sit and talk with. I really liked him. So he and Trevor Booker have both been really nice, enjoyable men to be around. Trevor's going to play more. I don't know about Carrick's playing and what he's going to be able to do. He's one of these players who's he's an incredible athlete. His body's beautiful at 6'6" for basketball. He's going to have to find a way to impact games. And you can have a lot of these guys who are just such good athletes, and they've always been kind of elite level athletes. Just as they rise up higher and higher through the game, it's very hard to still impact the game. And that's what he's going to have to figure out. Defensively, corner three, Bruce Bowen model is what they're going to try to do with him. We'll see whether or not he can achieve that or not. But he's, there are days when I watch him like he's good. When I watch him in practices, I notice if I zero in on him for a few possessions, it's pretty good. But if I don't zero in on him, sometimes I'll forget he's out there. And that's kind of where he is. He doesn't have a great handle, so he's not going to necessarily make something himself. He's going to have to find a way, even when the athletes are as good as he is, to impact the game. NBA rank proceeded. Nobody on the Jazz got mentioned yesterday in the run to 350. Jimmer did it 360. Glenn Robinson III went in, which means Glenn Robinson III is ranked higher than Rodney Hood. Glenn Robinson III was the 40th pick. Rodney Hood was the 23rd. Seems a bit strange to me. Kevin Pelton made an interesting statement about Orlando's Kyle O'Quinn, that he's really kind of came out and thought he was a player much better than what's being ranked. And Eric Maynor was ranked in here. And do you realize Eric Maynor's out of the league as of right now? Interesting piece done, and then I want to talk about Quinn. Interesting piece done by Tom Haberstroth, who does such interesting work on the NBA.com about the 10 worst 4-game and 5-night trips in the NBA this year. And the Jazz don't have any of them. The worst of all they have is Boston's, and it closes on their 4th game in 5 nights, January 26th, against the Utah Jazz. Other than that, I didn't see any of the other of these 10 trips that he talked about actually stopping in Utah. I thought it was interesting that we're thought of, Denver and Utah, both thought of as kind of the nightmare disaster places. The other one, Portland, on March 25th, they have one of these 4 out of 5 that gets deemed one of the worst. And they play in Golden State on the 24th. They play us the 25th. They get a night off the 26th, go to Phoenix, and then go to Denver on the on the 28th. So that's one of the other times we're mentioning it. We kick off Golden State, who was the 8th worst. They play us, and the next night are home against Miami. Then they get a day off and are in Oklahoma City and then in Texas. That's a pretty brutal stretch. They have 4 days off, though, before they come to play us on the 13th, so I didn't really count that as us. And Sacramento has one that starts with us as well. They go play us, and they go home to Sacramento. They have a day off. They go to Chicago and to Milwaukee in 4 games and 5 nights. You got to wonder when they're in Utah to start that, why they had to go back home to play Phoenix. But again, they've had a day off prior to playing us, so we don't get any of these teams other than that Boston in any state of them. Quin Snyder, I've gotten to watch him coach here for the last few days. Really, it's incredible, is what I can tell you. The level of detail that he's going through is fascinating. The vision, how he really is terrific at teaching these kids, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. You can tell in his head, he's got step 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in his head. The question is, does he know which he seems to, know when to stop telling these kids what he's telling them. So in other words, with Rodney Hood yesterday, he was working on a wing move, and it's interesting, he doesn't refer to catch and go, he refers to go and catch. And so he was trying to show Rodney how you can get this extra step by already having taken the step before the ball comes. You know the ball's coming. You take that, be ready to go, and then walk up. Okay, now if you do this, look at there. It opens up this kind of shot and this kind of shot, and this is all different, and these different things, and then walk to. Okay, well now you've beat them on that. They're going to adjust in here, and now that corner 3 over there is going to be open because the help's coming here. So now let's go throw that pass a few times, and then they said, okay, well now you've beat them, so they're going to overplay you. So now it was fascinating to watch Quin work with him each step of the way in the process to show Rodney, okay, here's why you should do this. This is what it creates. This is what the counter to it's going to be. This is how you react to the counter. I'm sure there's another step in the process. He just stopped there. The other one that's just incredible watching Quin in this open gym is when the guys are, finished up and they're just shooting on. So he goes and spends that 10 minutes with Rodney, hands-on, working through it, showing this, various little footwork things. Very interesting to watch. I mean, Rodney's tendency is just catch the ball like you would and then see what you're going to do. And Quin's saying, no. You are either catching and passing, catching and shooting, or passing and driving. But none of this pass, pump fake, and let's see where I'm going to go. No. We're going. We're moving. We're doing stuff. And so then to kind of have Rodney start thinking, hey, look at it. If the guys that get that catch and get that step, go. Have that efficiency already in the process of what's taking place for you, and seeing him teach Rodney that. Then so he does that and then he moves straight over across the way, and now he's suddenly with Trevor Booker, working with Trevor Booker on. I couldn't really hear it from there, but I'm watching, and he's working with Trevor Booker about some different things on when you post or when you get to what attack stance and triple threat and how you're going to move from one to the other and what you're going to do there, and then when he's suddenly done with it, it's to the next guy and another. It's just so in tune, and the amount of information that's going through his head at one time, and his ability to compartmentalize each individual player in what he's seen and what he wants out of the, to them add to their game. Pretty fascinating to see. And then his level of detail and preparation is out of this world. He's just doing so many things, from how he wants to build the offense to what the systems will be defensively, to the details with the assistant coaches. I mean, it's very clear that he's working very specifically with his assistant coaches, as he has to, frankly. Like, okay, how are we doing shoot-arounds? How are we doing this? How are we doing that? How are we teaching this? How are we prepping this? What are we doing in film sessions? So there's no unturned element. I mean, we haven't had a coaching regime change in 30 years in our organization. So it's all brand new. This must be what every organization goes through when a head coach takes over. But it's pretty incredible to watch the amount of hours, the level of detail, and the work that is going in. And Quin's brain is just all that. All of the stories of just this incredibly fast rolling brain with this thought and that thought and these and those, and just going and at a faster speed with more ideas than most people. I mean, you can just see how this guy, like in his spare time, just went and got a JD MBA. His brain's just incredible. So we'll see, obviously how he messages 82 games. He says himself numerous times, I got to slow down. I got to have Brad Jones tell me, wait a sec, pull back. We're not ready for that. When he gets an idea, those things are going to be very interesting to watch over 82 and watch him mature in the next 5 to 10 years as the head coach of the Utah Jazz doing this. But it's definitely fascinating and pretty awesome to watch him work. I mean, he is in it. He is deep into it. He sees it. He's got great things. He was talking the other day, and he's like, you don't get back, you kill the game. If you don't get back defensively, you kill the game. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, if you don't get back defensively, there's nothing, no scheme. If you're not back and set, I mean, it's obvious, but hey, put it out there. If you don't get back, you kill the game. It's true. And it's just, there's a bunch of some good stuff. I think it's going to be very eye-opening and interesting to watch. He's putting the media through training camp next Wednesday night. So next Thursday on tip-off, if I'm dying and hurting. You'll know why. Luckily, hopefully, I'll learn something in the process. Apologize for the shortened edition today. I forgot to check if there were any questions. I do have enough time to take one or two. Interesting other note, by the way, Kevin Durant shared that he's got some big friendship with Karl Malone. I've gotten close with Karl Malone. He called me numerous times when he can see on TV that I'm struggling and feeling bad after a loss. He can tell. So the mailman and Kevin Durant have become close. All right, let's quickly go to the questions. Will Snyder ever consider dual point guards Trey and Dante lineup? I think Quin's brain will try everything. I think Gordon will play the 4. I think you'll see dual point guards. I think you'll see Alec Burks playing the 1 with Gordon Hayward and Rodney Hood at times, just because the way they're going to play, there's going to be so much movement. I think you'll see him put 5 players on the floor all the time. That's what I think. Clint Peterson, the great Clint Peterson, as I like to say. What will Karl Malone and Kevin Durant go hunting and fishing? What will it be for? I'm not that quick this morning. You're awesome, but I'm not that quick this morning. Where do you see the franchise in 5 years or 10 years? From Forrest Scott. It's a loaded question with a minute of time to answer. I think this is part of the progression. You hope that you're in the Final Four of the West in 5 years. You hope that Dante's clicked in to be a star. Whoever we gain in the draft this next year is probably a star as well. Favors and Hayward at that point, 5 years from now, are 8, 9, 10-year vets. Maybe they're still on the roster. Maybe they're not. But that they have become established stars. I don't know where Trey, Alec, and Ennis fit in this thing yet. That's what this whole season, I think, to me is about. And I would suspect Quin's still the head coach. Trey was very good yesterday, by the way, in open gym. Trey Burke had a very, very good day yesterday in open gym. If Trey Burke's play is clearly hindering Dante Exum's development, how long before the team starts thinking about trading Trey? Obviously, if Trey's not developed, it's not about Dante's development. It's about Trey's development. If Trey isn't showing if Trey is showing he can be a top 15 point guard in the NBA, then you can figure out how you're going to work with Dante. But also, let's be clear about what we've seen out of Dante. His summer league showed all the brilliance of what he could be, but he wasn't there yet. In the Australian World Cup team, they played him 12 minutes a night. He's a long, the thing hindering Dante Exum's development is Dante Exum being 19 years old and a young child. I think he came in town yesterday, by the way, so he'll be ready to go when they have open gym probably next week. I think we got to make sure we understand Dante's still long way away. If Dante's playing 12 minutes a night, it's not because Trey's hindering his development, it's because Dante's not ready yet. All right, I got to go get the kids. Have a good one.